I know you're tired of bread and wine, but it covers the two main food groups, the body and the blood of Christ. Hearty food and drink is what a growing villager like you needs. How do you expect to cut cypress and olive trees ad nauseum if you don't have your sustenance? It's like what Aristotle said, no grains, no gains. If you're tired of just plain wine, we can add some garum. Okay, how about that? Some fish sauce to go along with the acidity of the sweet grapes. That reminds me, I have a 568 red from Constantinople that will go perfectly with the 569 fish pot from Athens. You drink the Oenogarum, and I will make you a moussaka. Nice thin slices of eggplant layered with onions and lentils and a creamy sauce on top. Oh, I can taste it already. And for dessert, pasteli. Nice, thick honey, so sweet, with the little sesame seeds. And I got some, what is it? Orange blossom water. I'll sprinkle that on top. It's like angels dancing on my tongue. But that would be wasted on you. You have the palate of a clam. I should have been living 300 years ago. I could have been feeding Olympians. What does Byzantium come to? People just walking around in the street eating meat on a stick, like barbarians. That and more conversations could be occurring at any time between Byzantine villagers, but we don't know. Food is arguably the most important resource in Age of Empires 2, but all we see in game is just a single set of numbers. Throughout this series, we will be looking at exactly what foods each civilization prepared and ate, and how well I can recreate those dishes. This is Meals of Empires. So I'm going to try to go the fastest I've ever gone on stream. I hopefully don't make any mistakes. It's just this is a long recipe. I don't want this to be a long stream or a long video for me to edit later. So we're going to be cutting up the eggplant into slices and layering them in this bowl and covering them in a little bit of salt, not too much, not as much as we did for the carrot for Slavs, but just enough so they kind of weep a little bit, weep out any of their more sour liquids that are often in eggplant. This is not a necessary step by any means, but it is a step that some people live by, and I have a tendency to forget to salt things, so this will at least help me salt them, and I think they might cook a little bit better. So we're just getting all the rounds out now, and then they're going to be fried before getting put in the moussaka. So they should be properly cooked. Everything here will be properly cooked by the time we're done. Moussaka is traditionally made with potatoes or eggplant, though potatoes are not available to Europe, Africa, and Asia at this point in time. So we are using the other version, which includes aubergines, or in the US they call them eggplant. So you'll hear me use either or. Next step is going to be to cook the lentils. We're using a 2-to-1 ratio of our lentils to water. So we're going to put that in there, and then we're going to put half a liter of water. So it's a 2-to-1, a little bit more than 2-to-1 in this situation, or actually a little bit less. I'm actually going to add a bit more water. So I'm going to set the eggplant back here for now, and we're going to get started on the onions. So we're going to be cutting the aubergines into rounds. We're going to be cooking lentils and then mixing it with onions in a pan. That'll be our other layer with the aubergines. And then on top of that, we are making a bechamel and including 2 different types of feta, or one of 2 different types of feta that I found in the market. So we'll be deciding which feta we use. After the moussaka's in the oven, we are making Oenogarum. I hope I got the pronunciation right there. Oenogarum with leeks. So we're going to cook the leeks a little bit with olive oil and then braise them with the Oenogarum. I have not tasted the garum yet, so I don't know. I haven't tasted the wine either. I haven't tasted either, so I don't know what it's going to taste like. And then for the pasteli, it's sesame seeds in a pan with honey. Should be beautiful. I at least won't mess that up. The rest of it, with my track record, who knows what's going to happen. All right, what oil should we be using today? I think olive oil. We can't go too high because the burning point's low, but we haven't quite hit it yet. All right, onions in, garlic soon to follow. We have 2 cheeses. There we go. We have a tofu-based fetto and plant-based white sheet is effectively what that is. This is made out of coconut milk or coconut oil, cocosoli, and water, some mice, corn, and potato, and salt. So it's mostly coconut-based oil, and then they add some starch to kind of solidify it. And then this one, I didn't actually look at the ingredients, 97% tofu, and then like some different flavorings to, I guess, get it close to feta. So I'm going to open them right now and get an idea of what actually tastes like feta, what I think might melt in the bechamel sauce, what'll be our closest to actual feta. All right, in terms of the field test, you can tell it's kind of crumbling in a feta-esque sort of way. Okay, taste, immediately think of feta. So we have a few different layers, but otherwise this feels like tofu. It doesn't have the right crumbliness of feta. I don't know if that means too much, but I've never seen tofu melt, so yeah. Don't have high hopes for this. It's feta flavored tofu. That's what it is. So that'll go back in the fridge and be used for a salad later in the week. All right, the onions are yellowing very nicely now, taking over in terms of the smell. We can start preparing the leek. Look at this bad boy. I can't even fit him in the fridge. I got him yesterday at the market. Beautiful boy. We'll be using like from here to just before it starts turning into a leaf. So we're going to be breaking it up into the individual leaves. I think that was a little bit too high still. That felt better just based off of the cut. And I figured leek was a nice vegetable to try because they don't have the strongest taste, so the Oenogarum can shine through. And for the carrots, I think I'll do it once down the middle and then slices once I have a flat surface on which to cut them. I don't think I'm going to put all the lentils in. I'm thinking like a 3-to-1 ratio. So if I put all the onions over to the side here, I can kind of get a gauge for what a 3-to-1 ratio of onion to lentil will look like. That looks okay. So we are going to be spicing this with some sumac, which leads me to my next trivia question. Oh, is it a trivia question? No, I was considering having it a trivia question, but it seemed a little bit too hard. I was going to ask you what other foods or ingredients are also in the sumac family. But that includes mangoes and cashews and a lot of stuff that has some sort of like poison associated with it. I would call it like a little bit lemony and a little bit spicy. It's not like that spicy like a true pepper from the capsicums, but a little bit of spiciness, similar to tahine. So if you ever had tahine, which is a popular South American flavoring, it's almost like tart, the sumac. It's not just like lemony, it's also tart on top of that. So really nice. One of my favorite spices that I don't get to use that often because it's not, I don't know, it doesn't come to mind in vegan cooking that often. So move all of this over and we'll start on frying the eggplant next. That should be good. Watch my hands. Perfect. So we don't want overlaps, but just enough. And you can see it spitting from the excess liquid that's still on there. And while that's going, I can start the bechamel. 1, 2, 3-ish. Most of the liquid is going to be the oat milk, so I'm not too concerned. Just enough oil there to mix with the flour that's going in next. Turn that up. And again, apologize for the background sound. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of flour. My mom thinks that's too much. For the first time, I actually used my French mom's cooking advice in making this recipe. And I followed some of her advice and not all of it. So that's 1. We're going to do like 1.5 And we just wanted to whisk it smooth, and then we're going to be slowly adding milk to it. There we go. Look at that eggplant. Some roast marks there, but not burnt by any means. So these other guys didn't quite get it. I think I had the pan not quite centered on the hub. So I'll add it in. I think oat milk will work the same way. Just add in a little bit at a time. Don't want clumping. So here's my beautiful new Pyrex dish specifically for this. I can't go any wider. I can go a little bit wider, but just a little bit, because otherwise my oven's just not big enough. Not too hot. Okay. So we'll start with a layer of eggplant at the bottom. So I get a nice layer of lentils. And the bechamel is just going to go right on top. We'll let it cool or settle down into the between the layers. Have just enough to make one more layer, and that's fine. Now I can preheat the oven to, I think, 190 Celsius. Heart rate's at 110. You can tell I'm really like all over the place. Yeah, and you actually exercised. All right, I don't know if this feta is going to melt, so we're going to crumble it up real well, and we'll see it on the other end. Oh, this bechamel looks terrific. The oven's turned off, though, so I'll have to turn it back on. Get a nice, even spread over everything. A bit more liquid than I was thinking it would come out to be. I'm just going to try the wine straight from the bottle. First up, we are trying the mushroom garum. So normally garum is made out of fermented fish sauce. And because I'm vegan and because I have neighbors, I am not going to be fermenting fish sauce for a few weeks. And I have a girlfriend. I don't think she'd appreciate that either. And this has a wax seal on it, so you know it's special. Definitely has a smell, and it's very much of mushrooms, like an umami smell, but a little bit sweet. Like, I actually want to drink this, not like, oh my gosh, this is fermented fish. I'm gonna die if I put this in my mouth. Definitely like a darker color, like soy sauce. I imagine this is gonna taste a little bit like soy sauce.
Probably not supposed to just drink it.
This tastes like something that I've had before. It tastes expensive. Like a really well seasoned dish with like really nicely caramelized onions and mushrooms all together. So I'm a little bit reluctant to think this is supposed to be fish sauce. Should be a umami bomb. It is an umami bomb. It's fantastic. A little malty. That's what it's like. It's a little bit of maltiness to it too. So we're doing even parts of this and wine to make the Oenogarum. And let's see how well it mixes in my mouth first before I put it in the measuring cup together.
Oh, there's disgust on your face.
I mean, I guess it'll be okay. And we'll see. It'll be different, at least, from anything else you've ever tasted. So that's kind of the point of the stream, to discover new meals. It's a marinade, yeah. In my monologue, I make it sound like, yeah, you would just drink this and it'd be fine. But no. What do you call a dish with a big pot and some leeks? A colander. 1, 2, 3. Plenty of oil. We'll turn this down. So I'm just going to chuck everything in and try to spread it out. Nope. Yeah, that reaction seemed about right. I actually think I have too much in there, so I'm going to take some back out. Mostly the carrots. There's definitely a difference in terms of thickness between the leeks and the carrots. So we'll see which one does better. I have very little experience with braising. I might say no experience with braising. So we'll see how well this comes out. All right, I'm going to call that good because I got some good smells coming out of here. And we're just going to pour everything in. And it sounds good so far. And we're going to fill it up to like half. We don't want to boil everything. We're doing 3/4 cups of honey, which is 250 grams, and then 1.5 cups of sesame seeds. This is going to be our honey bomb. The other ones are umami bomb. And I don't want it that hot because we're just going to be roasting the sesame seeds first, and then we're taking the sesame seeds off, putting the honey back on, getting the honey up to temperature, and then putting the sesame seeds back. So we're going up until there. Oops. And with all sesame seed dishes, you're bound to have sesame seeds just exploding everywhere. So with the sesame seeds, you have to constantly be mixing them up because the seeds at the bottom, of course, are going to be in contact with the heat. And we're getting to like a very light brown color. It's not going to change that much in color. Then we'll put them aside and then bring the honey in. Smells good. Everything smells different, but still good. Excited to try everything. Every last piece. I don't think there's anything that I really messed up. It'll kind of just come down to personal taste. And pour all the honey in with our nice clean spatula. And believe it or not, I have never poured honey into a pan before. So this theoretically will go very well, but no promises. I did watch one YouTube video, and for most of my life, that's all the experience I've needed to do a lot of tasks. It's so weird. I'm so used to honey being like a little bit viscous, but this is just completely liquid. You can see it's just making waves. Now the sesame seed aroma is coming back up, and we're smelling it again. It almost looks like I have too many sesame seeds, but I mean, it can't go wrong, right? This is the part of the recipe, part of the meal that it'd be pretty hard to mess up, as long as I don't burn anything. What is wrong with this dude? This cap's just stuck on here. All right, I might just have to open it and shake it upside down. There we go. It's messed up, but it works. All right, I think I'm gonna call it good because everything in there is cooked, so I don't think I can undercook it. And there is the moussaka. You can tell it's kind of picked up some of the colors of the lentils, so the cheese isn't as brightly colored anymore. It's been muddied a little bit, but it's kind of solidifying pretty well. So I'm happy. There's like a layer of cheese even on the eggplant. I think once we let it cool down and solidify, it's going to be very tasty. What was that, honey?
Honey?
Yes, honey is not technically vegan. It's regurgitated nectar from a bee, and so technically an animal product.
Do I win?
Yeah, you win.
Did I win?
Dinner. I have no idea how Abby's going to rate that. So you can see how dark the sauce is. It's a little bit reduced, but not much since I had the lid on. You can definitely tell that they took on some color between the two here. That's a good sign. This might be the hardest dish to plate, Abby, that we've done so far. The color palette that I'm working with is not the best. So, what do we have? We have our moussaka, which is layers of eggplant with layers of onion and lentils, and then on top we have a bechamel sauce that has this crumble of feta included in the bechamel sauce. Our second part of the meal was carrots and leeks braised in Oenogarum, which is a mix of the wine and the garum.
Wait, what's in the bechamel sauce?
The bechamel sauce is flour, olive oil, and oat milk.
Oh, okay.
So a pretty normal sauce with just vegan ingredients. And this is a date purely for visual appeal.
Okay.
And I'm not expecting you to eat it.
Okay.
Bon appetit. Start wherever you
that's
like.
It. What's this? Oh, another leek?
Yeah, that's just leeks on leeks. No, I don't.
You guys heard this, right? He just said I'm ugly. He edits me out.
I'm glad. Oh, I see what you mean. You missed that. It's pretty terrible. No, this one came out good.
No, this is good.
Yeah.
I would eat the rest of this.
Okay. You are going to eat the rest of this. Theoretically.
I wish you shaved the eggplant skin.
Oh, okay. Because
but that's a me thing, I guess.
No, I think that's a legitimate concern.
Because I don't want to eat that. I don't want to be chewing that.
Yeah, because it's a different consistency than the rest of the eggplant.
Yeah. And the rest of the dish in general.
Yeah.
Wait, so...
And I could have done that.
When it sets, or whatever...
I don't think this one was going to set. I think it was too liquid. The top layer was able to... So
you're telling me that your execution was poor.
Yeah. Like, using vegan ingredients for a sauce is always difficult. I'm actually going to share some of this blame with my mom, who told me that I was using too much flour in my bechamel sauce and that it'd be too thick. And it definitely wasn't too thick.
I'd keep eating this.
Okay. Do you want to try the veggies before? She's scared. You're trying to leak?
I want to.
It's not like the carrots from the Slavs.
I was just thinking it's like the carrots from the Slavs. Because it's just salt. It's just like...
Is it that salty?
It's just like a crystal of salt. Not as bad as the carrots.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the same?
No. It's the same sauce for everything. If anything, this is more carrot because, yeah, the ratios of the two ingredients.
I don't like it.
Okay. I think possibly I did execute this as the Byzantines would have liked, but different palates.
But the modern American does not appreciate
the fermented fish sauce. I still consider it finger food. But did you hear how it's crackling?
I did. All right. Let me see.
You see that? That's a smile. Isn't that wild?
I've never tasted anything like this before. It's like not too sweet.
But there's still like a lot of sweetness to it, but it's not like high sugar level. There's all these complicated flavors.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So, execution.
The eggplant being not really, you didn't shave the skin. I don't know if you were like technically supposed to or not, but it does change the texture of the whole thing. I like the lentils. I like the flavor. You also said it was supposed to be more like
solidified
together.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Not at all. So
like maybe, let's see. And then these were a little too salty. So like, it's 6.5.
6.5. Okay. I was thinking you might say 7. So we were pretty close.
You know, I'm close to 7, but
the Pasteli is pretty good, huh?
Yeah, but it's not what it's supposed to be either, right?
I don't know. Let's go ask some Olympians. And then should you serve this to your girlfriend? How much of this are you going to eat?
80%. So an 8.
Okay. But yeah, next week will be the gujaras. We will be making some lentils for Dal.
I like lentils.
Abby likes lentils. That's already a good sign. So we'll be back then. Until then, I'll see you in the comments.